No, your son,
And it looks
your son's
good.
drippy though. Because even when I saw him at the film, had the thing and the. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's a certain. I don't know. Yeah, I just
It's a
can't do it. I
vibe
just
that
can't
you
do it.
have
Like
to.
I'm not really like. I just like to stick to what I know. If I want to branch out, it might be maybe like I don't know certain colors.
So what
But
are your go-to colors? Black.
Color
And...
do
coordination.
you know what? I'm honest. I don't mind branching, but I prefer black. I'll say black's my favorite color.
Why? Because it's easy.
It's just a nice color.
It's just more simple to style. You know.
Are you the same?
Yeah.
I like navy. I like red, green. You know, all those colors. But I just tend to keep it simple with black or white.
Yeah. No, I hear. Like I go to black when I don't know what to wear or I just don't want to think. But naturally, I'm like a quiet but shouty person. So even if I'm wearing black, there'll be something on me that's like, example, like today.
But that's what I'm saying. Because some people, like even like so much. I'm not sure if it's the case now, but I feel like when people were wearing glasses just for fashion, it wasn't a thing. But then some people had certain look. Like I can't do that.
They look like an intellect.
Yeah, I'll just the only thing I probably I won't say it was a trend, but I remember like there was a phase where like we all had our ears pierced. I don't know if you had that.
No, Ben said I'm not with you on that.
No, do you know it's because I had the magnet.
Stud.
No, so I had a magnet.
Okay.
The fake one, and then I actually got it done. And then, but I took it further. I actually got both done. Right. So I was like, okay, cool, yeah. So me and my friend at the time, we both got done at the same time. I was like, yeah, like, but then it was all fun and games until when I went back home. Like, my mom wasn't too happy about it. Nah, it's like, we don't do these things. So I remember her just like, she was not impressed at all.
So did you take it out?
No. So basically, so after a while, she just got used to it because the thing is, because when you get it pierced, you can't take it out. Like you have to leave it in for like maybe, like I don't know how long it would take.
Like 6 weeks.
Yeah, so I couldn't just take it, and otherwise it will infect. So afterwards, she just okay. She left. She's like, oh, why? But I think that it suited me, so that's why I wanted to get it done. And after a while, I was just like, yeah, 2 earrings, but then of course you grow out of it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I remember someone in primary school got a piercing as well, and I think he got in trouble because it was kind of big.
Yeah, no, honestly, like that wasn't a thing at all, and it's like having like with most African parents, no, like
no,
why?
No,
yeah, like,
there's certain things that you just don't do.
No, even just like I remember this was ages ago. Like I went to Nigeria, and my granddad was like, "Oh, like, why do you have this kind of like have this hair? Why don't you just have it clean cut? Look at your cousin, he has clean cut." But I was like, but they don't really understand it. But I feel like when I was younger, that you had less room to experiment because it's especially going to school, you have to stick to certain things. But then
and
as you get older
as well, and careers.
I
feel like parenting of today, because now like I would be the new generation of parents, Nigerian parents, and we're like, if you want to be creative, you can be creative.
Yeah. That's what I like.
Before it's doctor, lawyer, engineer. That's all. Go outside that and you don't have a real career.
But even speaking of that, did you ever like I don't know if you did it with your son, but like, because I remember like growing up, it was always like, no, don't have like a certain look because, you don't want to, always to say you don't want to look a certain because they might not take you like professionally. Seriously. But now I feel like it's a bit different. Like, like with your son, did you ever have that with him? Like you need to have a certain look to go to school with because you need to be clean cut or I don't think he did because obviously he has locks.
No, he's got locks. So I come from quite an unconventional Nigerian type family who are more creative anyway. So we never had those, you have to be So I didn't, I saw, but I didn't experience that. But yeah, no, not really. I'm kind of like just, do whatever you like as long as, it's in line with our values if it's good for you. Obviously, there's still part of that Nigerian parent that's in there that's like, those clothes are not ironed, you can't wear that outside, that's not clean, all of that stuff. But aside from that, no. And I guess as he's growing up now, because he's turning 12 in 2 months.
Yeah.
And as he's growing up, you know, he's wearing like more tracksuits and hoodies as I
Yeah.
found boys their age usually wear.
Yep.
And it's different for me because now when I go clothes shopping for him, I can't, like, the usual sections that I'll go to don't have his size in
Yeah.
clothing. So, but what he likes now as well is like the hoodies and all of that. And I have to remind myself, I remember telling him, don't put your hood up unless it's raining. And obviously, you know what
Okay.
that's from, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
from the cultural aspect in terms of you don't want to get mistaken for somebody who you're not supposed to be, or be in the wrong place at the wrong time,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
masking your identity, all of that stuff. So, like, you know, those fears as the mum of a black son is in there still somewhere, even though it looks different. So I think that's the only one thing that I've told him, like, if it's not raining, don't like wear hood too much and all of that. I might be going over the top, but I think,
No, I think that's
that's
that inherited PTSD, boy.
that's the truth.
Because even sometimes, like,
PTSD.
I think it was. When was it? Maybe no, last week. I remember because it's been cold lately. So I remember, like, so I've been I went to the gym. I was in my car, but I had my hoodie on because it was cold. But then I left on. But after a while, I was like, okay, driving with the hoodie on. I was thinking, I'm a bit. No, I was anxious because I saw a police car. Not that they were looking for me, but I was just a moment. Okay, cool. If I don't want anyone to stop me. But it's like I'm in my car. It's not like But I understand it, but we shouldn't have to, but I get it.
Yeah, it's something that you think through that not the, you know, the average person won't need to think through that. But because
exactly.
you know what's happened and what can happen, you're like, please don't wear hood.
Nah, I think it's just like parents just trying to, you know, look out. Because even my aunt, sometimes my aunt, like most of my aunts, they're very like caring as parents should be, as the family should be. But sometimes I'm like, okay, this is over the top. I get it.
Going a bit too far.
I get it. Because even one time I told my aunt, I would like to go to America sometime. She's like, personally, I wouldn't want you to go. I understand it, but and in my mind I was like, no, I want to go. Just not that I'm oblivious to what's going on, and because I understand it, but I also don't want to live in fear. But also I'm not naive to know that okay, like there's a certain like stereotype people have,
right?
And it's not to say like I'm violent or nothing, but even like I remember one time. Teach the younger generation, like, yes, this is wrong, but also still be creative in have your own identity and be able to express
your clothes,
you know, like, because when I was your son, like, we wasn't doing. Our fashion was not even literally. It was just literally.
Ben's laughing. You're laughing. What was your fashion?
When I used to wear jogging bottoms, literally when I was out. That was the fashion back then. Yeah.
I think my biggest fashion crime was wearing AstroTurfs when I wasn't playing football.
Of course.
So literally,
are they the bright coloured ones?
This was like these were like These were T90s literally, like, and like I wore them with jogging bottoms, like a tracksuit, but I wasn't going to play football. It was just you had no sense of fashion. But I feel like that's just as you grow older. Like even now, like I said, I like my certain colours. I'm not like I know what will like I play to my strengths. I don't want to like I'm not gonna be trying to do something like so. Like start wearing ankle trousers because I know because as a tall guy I don't think it
ankle swimming.
Yeah, it won't look nice.
Ankle trousers they're good.
No, maybe if I was a bit shorter, maybe that would. But I don't think that's not. Like, I've got slim legs. It's not. You can't do everything. You know what I mean? You can't do everything.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, so like even so like I said, even with the Doc Martens, I'm like, okay, they look kind of. They have quite a few good ones, but I'm just like, nah. Let me just. I can't. Not that I worry about what people think, but I'm just like, nah, it's not really think that would.
You have to let it simmer a little bit. Maybe you'll get like an idea of what you can wear it with, and then it'll be like, oh, okay, can do this.
But I feel like there's a creative look though. I feel like you have the creative look, and it's crazy. Even like, as she's in the book, you have that creative look. Okay,
Matching.
like because you won't see like a well, I won't expect you to be like in a corporate attire, like, you know what I mean? But it's like you have that creative look. Oh, like the rat, and the glasses make it all like you actually look like a children's rat. I don't know what it looks like, but you actually look like a children's rat.
Well, guess what? I am one.
You know what I mean? So like even segueing onto that, like my sisters are not good at wrestling. Like even the title as well, because normally, like with books on grief, it's pretty much like, well, I would say not kind of obvious, but it's quite interesting. So I think it's even more intriguing just knowing that, like, you know, it's a book about grief, but also the title is kind of what comes to mind is that, okay, cool, maybe a boy trying to wrestle with his sisters, or I don't know what I mean. So like, just talk to us about the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, so the title, My Sisters Are Not Good at Wrestling, I think I'm kind of like, so I do a little bit of I've always done a little bit of writing. Like I'm a secret kind of closet writer. I write poetry and all of that stuff. And I have always sort of kept a journal of some sort, but kind of abstract. So you kind of have to like get it. Yeah. And when we were writing this story, it's based on a dream that my son had. But the title itself, My Sisters Are Not Good at Wrestling, came about just, it seems light, but it's actually deep, and that's the kind of that's how I roll. So it kind of highlights that theme of somebody being missing. So although for my son in real life it wasn't that he was wrestling and his dad wasn't there, it was more of, I remember in the lockdown when he wanted to go out and play football and stuff, and we're like, no. And his sisters definitely don't want to play football. And he'd just kind of be like, I wish somebody could play football with me. So it was that element of missing, or, you know, when he does rough play, you know how boys are always like slamming people down. He'll do it to his sisters. They'll laugh the first time, second time, the third time they'll start crying. And he's like, oh, this is no fun anymore. So that's what the title's from. My Sisters Are Not Good at Wrestling. Kind of that, just that sense of being disgruntled, that the person he would usually do that football or rough play with is not here. So it's kind of like, okay, my sisters are not good at wrestling. My dad's not here because he would have usually played wrestling with me. Yeah. So that's. No,
that's dope. Even as I said earlier, even just the images, man. Like, and I think sometimes as well, it stands back to being, like, you know, like being the only guy in the household. Like, of course, there's only so much you can. How can I put it? Like, there's only so much you can understand from a boy's perspective. I'm not saying the women don't know how to look up, but I feel like that lack of a male presence, you feel it. Like you actually feel it, because yes, you know, you get to understand things from a female perspective, woman's perspective, and things like that. But not having your father on, that will somehow, you may not say it straight, but it will somehow kind of affect you in some ways. Or it might be something that, oh, you know, like you said, oh, I want to just wrestle. You know, I can't play rough with the sisters because they got to tell mom. And, like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know,
tend too violent, man.
Exactly. It's just that certain things that you just highlight, and that's essentially, you know, with absence, isn't it? You tend to miss the little things. It's not even almost like the big things. It's just little things, and especially with children. Yeah, I can imagine. Like, you know, it's not. I would say, like I said this before, I feel like children are smarter than we think, but often, you know, they, like us, they will deal with something. We might not understand it, but that's them expressing their grief. You know, they may not like talk, but somehow it will come out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And like, how did you find with the book, the process of it? You know, like introducing your children to did you tell them first, or was it after you published it? Yeah,
so it was literally a dream my son had. So everything that's inside the book, apart from like the title and stuff, he dreamt it, and then I just kind of made it into a story. So he dreamt about it in I guess one of our most, I don't know if griefy is a word, but I use it, griefiest seasons, probably within the year after his dad's death. And because he died, my husband died in a car accident, it's quite sudden. So all of a sudden you have someone there and then you don't.
Yeah.
It's a surreal experience. So we were all grieving, and I remember with the children, it would be like they would be fine. You know, kids play, they're resilient, they get distracted easily once you have, you know, people over or ice cream or something fun. But then at night time, I found in the earlier days, that's when their grief came to light, because that's when everything stopped, and that's when it was time to go to bed, and that's when, you know, they missed daddy. Part of it is probably because they didn't want to go to bed, but the other part of it is because, you know, it's the moment where they stop and they reflect. You know, all day they've been busy. So one evening my son went to bed and he had a dream, and kind of do a little bit of dreaming in our house. So it's a common question to ask, oh, did you dream about anything? So I think I must have asked him, or he came to me and said, oh, Mum, I had this dream. And I was like, oh, wow, so tell me about it. And then he narrated the dream to me, and I thought, okay, wow, I need to write this down, because he, in the dream, like the book, he saw his dad and they went on this adventure together and they saw some things. And he kind of, like, he felt comforted in a sense, but also, you know, it made him miss his dad more. But he woke up feeling quite comforted, and I wanted to remember that feeling. So I wrote it down. And then it was probably a few months later that I thought, actually, maybe we could make this into a book. And then I just spoke to my son about it, and I thought, you know what, I think we should make it into a book. You know, it might help other children. It might help them to find comfort in knowing, you know, that their loved ones are okay. They're in a different place. And, you know, they're okay. They're probably having fun, and just, yeah, it just kind of brought to the imagination what this other place looks like. And in the book, it's painted colorfully and beautifully, and you see all different people there. So yeah, I said that to him, and he was like, okay, good idea. So we started talking about it. So I wrote the first draft and the second draft, and when I read it out to him, he started crying the first few times. So it was quite an emotional process. I think probably, you know, maybe the third or fourth draft, he was able to read it without crying. But I specifically remember the first draft. When I read it back to him, he cried. And then even when the book was created as well, when we took it home and, you know, they're all excited about it, but the first read was like, oh, wow, because it's their story, you know, they could see themselves in it, and it, you know, highlighted their loss a little bit. But, you know, as we've read through it and stuff, you know, they love it, but it was just acknowledging those feelings that they had as well. And I think that's healthy, because children aren't always able to process with words how they're feeling. And I think it's okay to feel sad or to miss your loved one. And, you know, if they sit with those feelings inside, I can't imagine, you know, what that must feel like for them. So it's better for them to kind of get it out. And then in the back of the book, there's some resources of, you know, how you talk to children. And I know my daughter, my first daughter, she's really creative. So she likes drawing. So she paints pictures.
It just runs in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. So she puts her creativity out in that way. And also, you know, when she's, you know, feeling upset or whatever, she just draws just naturally anyway, but that's an outlet for it. And I think it's good to encourage your children and give them vocabulary and words to discuss their grief, but also give them activities that they can do and that you can do with them as well, to just channel that out and process it and have those conversations where it's not awkward. Because I think as parents or as caregivers, having those tough conversations when someone's died is difficult, because you're hurting for them as well. You're hurting for yourself, but you're also hurting for them, and you kind of don't really want to talk about it. But I think when we don't talk about it, I think it does more damage than good. So that's the mission that I'm on. I want us to be able to have those conversations with our children or children close to us, to just talk about it, but lightly, but deep enough to to make an impact. And I hope this book does that as well.
Yeah,
So
no,
I think I gave you a long answer to a
nah,
short question.
Listen, to be long, this is fine. I think it's good because even when I was intrigued. I'm like, I'm a kid. I'm thinking, yo, I'm liking all these pictures, but I think it's
The
quite.
pictures are beautiful.
Honestly,
The illustrator,
man.
Susan,
Like, shout out to
she didn't.
I don't want to say Susan Emina. Is that's your friend, right?
Yes.
Listen, the illustration is good. Let me just put that in the caption.
She did an amazing job.
Susan Emina.
Amazing job.
Listen, obviously, and shout out to you as well, of course. Like, this is a very good idea.
The combination, the pictures really brought the story to life. So, and it was good working with someone that knew our story, knew our family story, because she was able to just capture it so beautifully. And I remember during the process, she would send me pictures like, this is what I'm thinking and this is what I'm drawing. And I was so excited. I'm like, okay, when are you going to finish the book? What's it looking like now? What's this picture? So she did an amazing job. Job.
Like, even on Oxford, even with just touching on the pictures, like, was she like your first choice, or did you go through other illustrators?
Honestly, I didn't. And because I know her, she is absolutely talented. She does a lot of creative things. She's a podcast. She's does film, and she had recently got back into drawing at the time.
Yeah.
And I think before she even did any books, I was like, will you illustrate my book? And she was hesitant. She was like, oh, I'm not sure. I was like, please. So in the meantime, by the time I had written the story and got my final story edited before I gave it to her, she had done her first book by then. So mine, I think, if I'm right, is the second book that she's done.
So that's why she's a bit...
Yeah, but she did an amazing job.
No, she did, man.
So I'm planning to have, I think I was telling you earlier, but I'm planning to have a series of books.
Nice.
That just talk about different things about grief. And there'll be a continuation of different characters that come in, and mostly based around children and their perspective on grief and stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping that she'll do my illustration for me as well.
Even the drip, man. Like, the drip, like, even what was it? Like, so even just doing that, honestly, like, so like in terms of, obviously you had to do illustrations, but in terms of choosing,
like the duo.
Yeah.
I'm saying even like, what's that? Is that meant to be nice? I'm not sure. Well,
yeah,
even ways, like,
it was actually. It's the picture of my son's trainers that he had at the time. They it's not branded, but they are. I can't remember what pair they were, but they were a really new current pair. But it goes back to the fact that my husband was a sneakerhead. He loved trainers, so I wanted to make sure that was represented in the book, to do him justice. So he would he's the sneakerheads that will when a new release is coming up, will be trying to buy it. He wasn't quite the camping outside one yet, but he would enter all the competitions. We'd go looking for it. If he goes shopping, if he's more than an hour, he's gone to a sneaker shop. And him and my sister were sneakerheads as well. So anytime they go out to buy something, they're not going to be back for hours, and they'll come back with and they're like, we had to get it. So I really wanted to make sure that I did that justice, because he was really, I don't know if you call it cool, drippy, whatever. No, but
definitely, it seemed like he was a drippy guy, man. I can tell, man.
He was. So I wanted to do
runs in the family
that and show that in. So the illustration is true to life in terms of what he was wearing and pictures and the kind of shoes. So I said to Susan, I said, can you make sure that he wears these shoes, because they were one of his favorites. So I showed her the picture of the shoes. I think they were some elephant print something. I've forgotten the name of it now, but I was like, okay, can you make sure that he's wearing those? So it was to do him justice.
You guys did a good job. Like, even just honest, I'm intrigued. Like, I think I'm not even a kid, but I know you did mention it's not just for kids. Obviously,
no,
the adults can benefit, use as a resource as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just it talks about grief in a way that it doesn't actually talk about grief, but the pictures and the storyline say 1,000, tells 1,000 stories about grief and the feelings behind it without actually saying it. So it's that element of kind of being abstract that I love, but it also really, it just talks to us about that. And adults can find it really helpful as well, because it's just pictures and it's stories, and you can get lost in the pictures. There's so much in there, and there's so much color in there, and there's so many things to think about. So there is a part that in the book where, you know, my son said when he narrated the story to me that he saw some of his grandparents who are, you know, also late, that he'd never met before. And, you know, in the story it shows that, and then there's a park that they go to, so it's called the Golden Park, where they play in, and you know there's also children there, and they're playing on the swings and sliding and hanging and look like they're having fun. And you know, it speaks to other losses as well, because there are people that have lost siblings, and you know, children who've lost, and all of that. So it says it without saying it. And I guess the what the story is saying is that our loved ones, you know, may not be here, but we believe that they're somewhere else where they're good, they're having fun, they, you know, see all these beautiful things, they get to play in a golden park, and they're okay. And one day we'll meet again. And I think that's the comfort that we found, and we wanted to share that with other people and hope that they would find some comfort in this too.
No, it's nice. I was even gonna ask, like, so now that the book is out, do you feel that it's helped like your kids like deal with the grief more, or has nothing really changed?
I think so. I think the whole process. I think the most powerful thing is how they see it help other people.
Yeah.
So there's a friend of ours who that's a friend to the family that, you know, sort of emails us back and forth, an older gentleman, and we sent him a copy of the book because he lost his dad when he was a lot younger. I'm sure he's in his 70s now, but we sent him a copy of the book, and Yotam, my son, wrote a bit in the book, just say, you know, I thought this might be helpful to you. You kind of know how it feels to, you know, lose a dad. And the email that he sent us, and when we read it out as a family, it was overwhelming. He was just like, it was so beautiful that it really touched him. And this is a 70-year-old man who's reading this children's book.
That's impressive.
And, you know, he said that he wanted to write, he probably responded to us on a Saturday. He wanted to respond on a Thursday, but he said he couldn't find the words. Like, he just needed to like gather his thoughts and all of that and put it in the email. So I think when we read things like that and when we get feedback from people, it's like, oh wow, this actually it touches something. And I guess it helps you be connected to other people, because my children see that actually there are people in there that get it, that get this. Somewhere, people out there in the world that get it, and you know that they're not alone, and it's the same type of feelings that they feel. So yeah, I think it helps us, and I think it helps other people. So yeah, I think it's definitely added a different layer to our, I guess, healing journey, what you call it.
No, that's good. That's great, yeah. Like, it's something I sent earlier. Like, literally, I was thinking, looked about. Yeah, I'm not. By the way, this is. Like, it's a work of art. But I was thinking, okay, maybe it took her, because before when you told me, I was like, oh, maybe it took her maybe like six months or something.
And
Like,
then-
you went to the year, I was like,
And
oh,
it took a
like,
year.
because the thing is, I'm thinking, okay, like pictures and words, but
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, but it's not actually a year of work, because I consulted another friend of mine who has also written a book, or 2 books now, and I said, you know, how long does the process take? And she said, oh, a year. And I was like,
Oh, is that a year?
A year from like the idea of it to the releasing of the book.
Oh, right, okay.
And I was like, oh, it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah.
But in just the time that it takes to do things, and then you get it to the illustrator, and then you edit, and then you look for someone to print it out, and then
Oh,
so
right, okay, I
all
see
of
what you
those
mean now.
little bits it takes about a year. So
Okay.
so it's not
okay,
like
You gotta think about
full
all
on
the elements
work,
of that. Yeah.
but just the other little bits
Oh,
and
right. Okay, I
pieces
get you now. Okay. Because I was
that
thinking it was
go in
as
it.
in a year writing, a year.
No.
Oh, right. Okay, see, that makes
No.
sense.
And I'm sure it can be done quicker, but for us, I have a job, have
Yeah,
family,
of course,
all
yeah.
of those things and other projects that you're working on.
Yeah.
So for us, it took about that long. So I was surprised myself that I was like, oh, surely it shouldn't take that long, but it did from start to finish. But I'm glad that it took that long because there were a few changes in between, edits, all of that, and I'm happy with the end
No,
result.
it's good. It's a good product. Even just like the because some people like I'm guessing is it self-published? Yeah. What was that like?
Self-published. Again, that's part of the thing that takes the time as well, isn't it? It's the how do I become self-published? What do I need to do?
Yeah,
all of those
that's what I
questions,
was gonna ask
all of
because like
those
is it like
researches.
because obviously publish and self. Do you make the decision because you felt like it was? I don't know how to explain it. Like, why did you decide to do it
So
self-published?
my reasoning is I just wanted full creative control of
Oh, okay.
of it, one, and then also I didn't want to be held back by, okay, you can't produce this, okay, you don't have a publisher, all of that stuff. And I guess I was thinking with the long-term view that actually I want to write some more books.
Yeah.
So I know that in the series, when we're talking about children and grief, there's going to be at least 5 books in the series, and then
Nice.
hopefully more, because I guess my grief journey has meant that, a lot of things have changed and a lot of things have broken. So who I was before, I kind of don't fit into that box. But I know that as a child, one of the first things I wanted to do, first career choice, when you ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a ballerina.
Doctor.
Mine was a writer.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of like,
Shakespeare.
yeah.
Nothing to do with finance. As in nothing to do with finance at all. Or you just...
No.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to be a writer, and I remember writing stories, and that's what I wanted to do. And I guess grief is kind of, in some way or another, everything is broken. So maybe I've a little bit has gone back to like a clear blank canvas, and it's like, actually, and I find myself, being an author, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is me. So yeah, with that in mind, I know that now that I've been able to write one book, there'll be many more books. So I wanted to also have, just that control of that. But obviously with self-publishing means that you have to fund things, financially yourself and all of that. But I'm hoping that it will work out in the long run.
Yeah, like it must be, because I always thought that self-publishing it's compared to a publisher. Of course, I'm sure they do send the legwork, but like you said, you have to think of, you want that control.
Yeah, it is hard work though, because you have to do the marketing, and then you have to do all of that stuff, and then you're an author, so you're not skilled in marketing, so you're either going to outsource or all of these different things. So that's why I said, even with the process of the book, it takes so long, because you're like, oh, I have to do this, what does this mean? And you have to figure things out. But I'm so lucky that I have a couple of friends who are authors. So a friend of mine, Titi, is an author, and another friend, Paulina, is also an author. So I was able to go and ask them these questions and get a little bit of insight from them, and that's been helpful. But yeah, you don't have it all when you self-publish, but I'm hoping that it will work out.
So what was the process like of writing a book, even though you had other commitments to tend to, or what was how did you manage to balance that?
So the actual writing, I think I came up with a first draft like overnight. One of those nights that I had insomnia, I couldn't sleep, thrash it out, wrote it, but it was a first draft, so it wasn't really much of a story. And I sent it to Susan, the illustrator, and I was like, okay, this is the first version of a book. And she's like, okay. She's very creative in storytelling. She's like, it's going to be a powerful story, but it needs to be more of a story. So went back to the drawing board and then rewrote it again.
Oh, so was she the editor as well as illustrator?
She wasn't the editor, but as a good friend of mine, she just said,
no, that's good.
Abby, I think, you know, it's beautiful. I think, you know, just a little bit more storytelling, because I think she was doing a storytelling course at the time. So she just gave me some, you know, some insight to that. So I went away. So I probably did about 3 or 4 edits that I was satisfied with, and kind of just built the storyline of, you know, my sisters are not good at wrestling, and, you know, the key, like, made it more into a story and the key themes, but also I tried to stay true to the things that my son saw in the dream, because I wanted to make sure that it was documented somewhere, because as when he grows up, he'll begin to forget the detail of some of that stuff. So I just wanted also for that to be there somewhere where he could access it, and also people can access it. But yeah, it took a few edits, and even up until the last minute, you're still editing. You know, when I ordered the books, I wasn't excited when they came, because I was so afraid that after ordering these hundreds of books, I was gonna find like a spelling mistake somewhere. So my heart, I was just like, I had, you know, friends of mine check over. We went through word by word, line by line, just to make sure, changed things over multiple times. But I was still so petrified that, yeah, that there was going to be some mistake. Thankfully, I don't think there's any. So then, you know, after, I don't think I could even read it when I first received the batches of the physical copies of the book, because I was just so petrified. When I finally did, though, I was like, oh, wow, okay, all right. And then I think all the nerves kind of settled. Yeah. And then when I got people's responses to the book as well, yeah, that just affirmed me. And yeah, so it was a long process. There's many things to it. So that's the writing part. But then there's also the researching part, like, okay, how do I become self-published? What do I do? Yeah. All of these little stuff that kind of come up that you don't really notice. Yeah. And getting an illustrator, and then getting a designer to format the book, and then all of those different steps. So yeah, it was a journey. It was a journey. I learned a lot of lessons along the way as well.
And then you've done it, and now that you've done it, it's like, okay, when you go again, it's easier.
Yeah, well, there's a platform to start from this time, because I had no experience before, so now I have a bit more experience, so I know where I'm going to start from, and yeah, just, I guess, improve, and also then be able to do more.
No, that's impressive, man. Like, especially on your first goal as well. Like, it can't be easy. Like, you know, just knowing, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, like, you know, but at the end of the day, it's here, you've done it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your kids are proud.
Oh, yeah, they are. I mean, my youngest daughter, who's 4, she the first few days she took the book to school, she showed everybody. Book made the teachers cry. They read it out a few times. Our local school as well, they have it. But my daughter used to bring it to school every day. Now she just has a copy in school permanently in her classroom, sitting there, and they're like, this is my mum's book, and that's you know, this is about us. They're really, really proud of it. So they're really, really proud. And we do actually read it at home as well.
Well, how often do you read it?
We probably don't read it as like every day, but we alternate. So I'd say maybe once or twice a month or so. But my youngest daughter probably reads it more in school as well.
That's not bad. I think it's good to have something for them that they can remember their dad by. Because honestly, like, and it's such a creative way as well.
Yeah.
Like, pictures, and because kids, they're gonna be, well, even I say kids, even as me as an adult, like,
you get drawn into
the pictures and stuff. So it's good. Like, but just on a last note, where can people like find it? You know, I know you. I'm saying Amazon probably.
Yeah.
What other places can people?
If you go onto Amazon, you can find it there. So just put in My Sisters Are Not Good at Wrestling, and then if you go onto my own website, so I'm passionate, obviously, about writing, like I've mentioned, but also just building resilience in children and families. So that's some work that I'm doing. So I'm building my brand based on that, and I'll have some workshops coming up soon.
Oh, wow.
But you can find that at www.ineveryseason.co.uk, and you can also buy the book on there too. So it's a little bit cheaper on my website than it is on Amazon, so I'd recommend going there.
We'll support wherever it is. Is it like what's the discrepancy? Is it crazy? Is it
No.
£2 off, £5 off?
No, so the book is $11.99 on my website on Amazon.
By the way, I'm not saying I'm going to go for the cheapest. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to give people, where they can find it. Not me. I'm going to buy it from the website where it's the full price. Just let me just make that clear.
Yeah, you could buy it on the In Every Season website, and I'm sure you'll put the description everywhere that this goes as well. And there'll be a second version coming out, so I said there'll be a series of books because my girls are not happy that their brother has a whole book to himself, so they're like, we need our book. So their book is coming.
Okay, so is it like, well, I don't know how much you can share, but is it going to be like another dream?
No, it's not another dream, but it is looking at grief through a child's perspective.
Okay,
so we're going to be looking at actually, I'll...
Okay, I don't know.
We're gonna be looking at...
So we leave it there. So all in all, it's just looking at grief.
We're looking at grief from a child's eyes. So all the books in this series, there's going to be a child or a couple of children as the main character, and they're going to be telling a story that's linked to grief.
Okay, that's what you can say.
And that's what I can say for now.
That's fine. I'm not trying to
you have to get me on next time when the second book is out.
When the other series comes out. No, we appreciate this because I feel like the reason why I wanted to get you on, because I feel like this is not spoken about. Children's grief and how children deal with grief. Because again, when we came and we spoke about how you dealt with your grief, and we spoke how we dealt with our grief in general. But I feel like it's just good to have that I would say that wider conversation about kids as well. You being a parent, so younger, so you understand firsthand like what it's like, because like I said before, kids they're smarter than what we give them credit for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But no, it's been a pleasure.
Great.
I'm only thinking about the time because I know you wanted to do some stuff as well. But I mean, what any last thoughts for?
Yeah, I'll probably say, well done.
Yeah, congrats.
Great job. You're
Thank
going to help a
you.
lot of kids that are going
Thank
through
you.
this issue of grief, and obviously, we've all kind of spoke about what we need to speak about. So keep going.
Thank you.
That's what I'll say.
And by the way, before there's our listener watching, we actually had Abby back on. We had what episode did we have on?
Did we do 2 parts? It was 2 parts, wasn't it?
No. It was one. We had you. Was it last year? Was it the lot? Was it
No.
last year? The year before.
Was it this time last year? No. Sometime last year.
Yeah.
Before summer.
Yeah, sometime. I thought it was during lockdown, wasn't it? I think it was. Yeah. So obviously we had Abby on, talk about her story with grief.
Because there was another girl, Abby, called Abby as well.
Yeah, so it was, I can't remember what was it called, but it would have been the one talking about being young and widowed or something.
Yeah. So I think that's, I'm not going to guess the episode number. We kind of had a few episodes deep now, but check that out.
Yeah.
Because that was quite moving as well, given, like I said, that is, I don't want to say too much. I mean, I will let them go check it out.
Yeah, let's go check it out.
But this has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
So my sisters are not good at wrestling.
Yeah.
Out now.
But at the website where it's more, not Amazon.
On the website, the In Every Season website.
It's 11.99. We've got to support fully, not no. Yeah.
No middlemen. Just before we go, also, I just wanted to show one of the last pages in the book.
Yeah, of course.
And it's about supporting bereaved children. So it's just, like I spoke about, just the element of listening to children and being able to listen to them when they talk and share their feelings. And also that creative element about just encouraging them to have an outlet and also just be honest with them. A lot of the time we try to mask things about loss, like, the person has gone away or they're not here. But actually using words death and died are quite helpful because it helps them, just understand, loss properly. And also getting help, and help looks like many things. So and there's a few resources for children and for adults as well back here. So I just wanted to share that part as well.
No, that's dope, man. That's very dope. Winston Wish. Oh, is that your okay.
Yeah, so my website is also at the back of the book.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No, I think that's amazing, man. Like, just giving your flowers with this was honestly like a year. I was thinking, wow, damn. I mean, doing it by yourself, so it couldn't have been easy. So with the next one, are you still gonna do self-published or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we are a publisher now. So
nice.
In Every Season Books, we'll be publishing more books.
I mean, are you sticking to children's after you've completed your 5?
Let's see.
I'm not trying to get too much. So I'm just
let's see. Let's see.
Mm.
You have to watch this space. So
no, it's good. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
It's all good. All good.
Been listening to Thinking Out Loud. Please subscribe on Spotify, Apple, Amazon.
YouTube.
Republican or something.
Yeah. And also follow Abby as well.
Yeah.
Yours is at In Every Season.
At In Every Season on Instagram. Website is www.ineveryseason.co.uk. I also have a podcast, so you can find me everywhere they said that podcasts are as well.
Yes, all the major platforms.
Spotify, the Apple Music, Anchor, everywhere, and it's called In Every Season Podcast. Yeah.